Good afternoon. It is a great honor and privilege for me to be here today and share my story with you. I am Eldbjørg Hemsing, and I would like to introduce you to my view on the artist's role towards the audience development of the 21st century. Having the opportunity to perform for audiences, both with vast repertoire and also at the same time both in Norway and in various territories, I have, throughout my personal and artistic development, become more and more aware and sensitive about the connection to audiences. As an artist, there's always such a fine line between pursuing artistic ambition as a violinist and also at the same time being aware of the audiences. I was and especially when it comes to sharing my greatest passion, which is music. I was born and raised in a very, very small village in the heart of Oppland County in Norway. Despite growing up in a very beautiful area, classical music was not exactly the most common thing there. My village has 700 inhabitants, but I was very lucky to grow up in a very musical family environment. And I was introduced to both folk music as well as classical tradition from a very young age, and also later through my education. I had my very first public performance when I was 6 for the royal family of Norway. My orchestra debut when I was 11 with the Bergen Philharmonic Orchestra, and since then be given the space to musically grow and also have the opportunity to record my very first recording. About 3 years ago, I was introduced by conductor Terje Boye Hansen to a Norwegian composer named Hjalmar Borgström, a name that I had previously never heard before. I was given a lot of his materials, which, honestly speaking, did collect a little bit of dust before I opened them. But from the very first moment I opened it, and this was a big pile of music, there was a score of a violin concerto. And from the very first moment I opened this score and I started looking at the violin concerto, I became really intrigued. This piece is incredibly beautiful. It's so full of Norwegian remembrance, yet with a very international feel. To me, it reminds me very much about one of my other favorite violin concertos, which is the Bruch violin concerto. It's both very late romantic feeling, a lot of passion, and at the same time very virtuoso. So, by chance, a discovery led to a journey, and where I, as an artist, stepped on a very vulnerable path of bringing back a really forgotten piece. Since its composition in 1914, it has only been played twice in Norway until 2017, and with as much as 50 years in between each performance. Borgström, he was really known as a composer and also as a critic, especially known for his very sharp pen. His style and composition can very easily be related to Wagner's. And when he passed away in 1925, even the Oslo Philharmonic Orchestra paid him a big tribute by changing their seasoning opening program to a full Borgström program instead. Having the possibility to perform both performances and in competitions, and as I also been very fortunate to play around the world, I often receive feedback from people on how I connect with audiences as a musician. But that made me wonder, was I only connecting to people who are classical music lovers? What about the audiences who have never heard a performance before, a classical performance? How can I share my greatest passion, music, with people who have possibly never even been to an orchestra concert or yet alone heard a violin before? These questions began to mix with the discovery of this forgotten piece. And could such a story be an approach, a possible way to approach new audiences? The rediscovery of Bergström's violin concerto and my own recording of it with the Vienna Symphony led to another journey where I, together with American filmmaker David Donnelly, are making a documentary. The documentary is not only about the story of a forgotten masterpiece, but more importantly, it's about telling the story through digital channels, directly into the homes of those who have yet to experience a concert. And as an artist of the 21st century, I think it is extremely important to think into the future and look into the future and explore all the various digital channels where we can be both seen and heard and be present. Despite having not a very definite, clear answer, it is a very genuine interest to me on how to reach non-traditional audiences as categorized within the audience development sphere. And it is a driving force on how to contribute, to make a difference in the musical sphere. And hopefully, with this piece, there's a starting point to making a difference. In the beginning, I played a little excerpt of the violin concerto, and I would like to end with another small excerpt. This is from the second movement. Thank you.